Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. I'm Mugdha Kapoor. The Bangladesh War Crimes Tribunal has ordered a Britain-based Muslim leader and a US citizen to be tried in absentia for the murder of 19 intellectuals during the country's 1971 independence war. Also in this week's episode, farmers in India's West Bengal state are hopeful of boosting trade ties with Bangladesh. But first, the war crimes trial.
The country's International Crimes Tribunal charged Al-Badr members Chaudhry Muinuddin and Ashraf Usman Khan with 11 crimes against humanity charges which include murder, confinement, abduction and torture. The tribunal, headed by Justice Obaidul Hassan, also fixed July 15th as the day to hear opening statements. Ashraf Usman Khan was supposedly the chief executor and Chaudhry Muinuddin the operation in charge of Al-Badr. They were also members of the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the student wing of Jamaat-e-Islami. Al-Badr was the paramilitary wing of the West Pakistan Army which collaborated with the Jamaat-e-Islami and which operated in Bangladesh against the Bengali nationalist movement during Bangladesh's liberation war. Khan is believed to be presently living in New York and Muinuddin is living in London. Muinuddin, 64, has held senior posts in many top Islamic organizations in Britain and was also instrumental in setting up the Muslim Council of Britain, the largest group in the UK which represents Muslims.
It is very sad that we had to see this year the violence unleashed by Jamaat-e-Islam on a peace-loving population such as ours. It is a pity that this problem has been festering for the last 42 years, and it is a failure of all successive governments as well as us, the civil society and the common population of Bangladesh, that we granted such immunity to such horrible war crimes. I don't think any other country would have tolerated that. Now, the Jamaat-e-Islam in some quarters had been termed a moderate constitutional Islamic party that believed in election. However, after the announcement of the verdicts this year, their reaction was anything but moderate or constitutional or democratic. So this makes us think anew whether Jamaat-e-Islam believes in democratic principles or moderation or tolerance of any kind. Moreover, I think that the terror that was unleashed by Jamaat, and unfortunately the main opposition party, the BNP, of whom we had a lot of expectations, because really in Bangladesh we do need a strong opposition party, and BNP could have filled in that role. But in allying with the Jamaat and later the Hifazat, which we will come to later, there was an alliance of right-wing parties that engaged in widespread violent activity, and that really violates not only the minorities, the innocent people, policemen were killed, it also violates the basic principles on which Bangladesh was created.
Pakistani troops in 1971 attempted to quell a nationalist uprising in the then East Pakistan that was triggered by the jailing of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The war ended 9 months later with the creation of Bangladesh after Indian forces helped defeat Pakistan's army. But in the process, about 300,000 people died and about 200,000 women were raped. The War Crimes Tribunal, set up by Mujib's daughter, the current Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is now bringing to justice the criminals of 1971.
I would never for a moment excuse the Jamaat-e-Islam for its role this year. I think they have destroyed what we hold beautiful and sacred in our country, a party which does not believe in the existence of Bangladesh, in the sovereignty of Bangladesh, in the founding principles of Bangladesh. Because way back in 1971, the Jamaat, and I don't know what the Hifazat stand on this would be, I don't think it would be very different, they did not support the emergence of Bangladesh. So logically, a party that did not support the emergence of Bangladesh really has no right to exist, and it should be dealt with an iron hand. But having said that, for 42 years it has continued to exist in our midst. We can't get away from that reality. It would be an ostrich-like attitude to think you can wish it away with a magic wand. So given that it has existed and it has been patronized by certain political quarters, unfortunately, and political parties have tried to use the religion card whenever it suits them. Given that reality, I go back again to the people, like the Shahbag movement. I think that if there is a very effective civil society mobilization, there will be a withering away of right-wing, extremist, obscurantist parties like the Jamaat-e-Islam and groups such as the Hifazat-e-Islam.
Before the recent verdict, the tribunal had sentenced Chief Jamaat members like Abul Kalam Azad, Dilawar Hussain Saidi and Kamruzaman to death and Abdul Qadir Mullah to life imprisonment. It was the arrogance of convicted Jamaat leader Abdul Qadir Mullah that prompted online activists and bloggers to gather at an intersection in Dhaka on February 5th to launch the famous Shahbag protest movement, which had galvanized the whole country. Bangladeshi academician S.M. Imamul Haq hailed the trials of the war criminals accused of genocide during 1971 liberation struggle, even though he expected the verdicts to come much earlier.
Well, the verdict that has been awarded, I am happy. I shouldn't say that I am very happy. It should have been declared much earlier. We are unfortunate that since our liberation, the party that was involved in the liberation war was in power for a smaller time. It is very unique in history that the anti-liberation forces were in power for more of the time than the party fought for liberation. So we expected this type of these verdicts much earlier. So anyhow, better late than never. It is coming. We are happy that at least the identified the war crimes criminals should be brought to book, and this will be an example. Why can we do that? Why should the Westerners put pressure on us when they are finding someone who is 97 years old for crimes in the Second World War? Now they are talking about humanity. Don't they have the humanity for them? This is my question to them, who are advocating for the war criminals in Bangladesh.
These verdicts had angered hardline Islamists, and they ran riot, destroying property, clashing with the police and targeting religious minorities.
This happening is not unexpected. Jamaat has been involved in the mass killing in our liberation war. Not only that, they kill lot of our intelligentsia, teachers and elites of the society. We knew it because we are the people who were at that time fighting against the Pakistani regimes. But they have been, since this trial started, these Jamaat people have been demanding or voicing that they were not involved. Now my question is that if you were not involved, so why you are so much scared and why you are raising so much hue and cry? And this proves that they have been involved, and to save their skin they are doing this. This Hifazat-e-Islam party did not exist even a year ago. All on a sudden they have emerged, and to me it is the creation of the Jamaats and their collaborators, number one. Secondly, what they are demanding, all their charter of demands are against Islam, not only Islam, against our country's sovereignty and country's constitution. Blasphemy Ain or blasphemy law, what is called blasphemy law does not pertain to the Islam, it is a Christian law. Our Prophet never ever thought about it. He rather pardoned even a person who rebuked him in front. So, the blasphemy law is not valid to the context of our present situation. Not only that, the other things they have been demanding, that the women should not come out, they should not be allowed to proper education in service, these are against Islamic teachings. Our Prophet never forbade the women folk to work. Definitely, you see, in no religion, pious women come out in a dress which is not acceptable to the society. So, if you think in that way, Islam also allows that, but Islam never has banned women in participating along with their men. So, it is not Islamic, I must say it is not Islamic, and we cannot accept it.
The Awami League government, led by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has time and again maintained that it will not bow down to the demands of the hardliners.
Bangladeshis want closure to the wounds of 1971, and these strong measures to ensure justice to the martyrs of 1971 are steps in the right direction. Meanwhile, in West Bengal, pineapple farmers are optimistic of enhancing trade ties with Bangladesh.
The pineapple fruit has the biggest market in the Indian subcontinent. Pineapple farmlands with large cultivation of the fruit can be seen in Bidhannagar, 45 kilometers from Siliguri in West Bengal. Pineapple growers of Bidhannagar like Ratan Bose hope for good trade relations with Bangladesh. They export 18% of the production to Nepal and 10% to Bhutan currently and want Bangladesh to be a major export destination.
যেমন রিসেন্টলি আমাদের নেপালে একটা খুব ভালো বাজার তৈরি হয়েছে, বাংলাদেশেও খুব ভালো বাজার আছে। বাংলাদেশে যে আনারসটা বর্তমানে হয়, আমাদের দেশের ত্রিপুরা থেকে কিছু আনারস যায় এবং থাইল্যান্ড থেকে ওই দেশে আনারস আসে, এবং আমরা যদি এই আনারসটা বাংলাদেশের বাজারে পাঠাতে পারি তাহলে কৃষকরা উৎপাদিত পণ্যের অনেক বেশি দাম পাবে।
Nearly 1 million people are dependent on pineapple trade in West Bengal, and the cultivators pleaded the Indian government to take initiatives in improving the trade ties between the two countries.
সরকার এটা নিয়ে কোনো উদ্যোগ নিচ্ছে না। বাংলাদেশে যে মালটা পাঠাবে এটা নিয়ে কোনো চিন্তাধারণা নেই। তো আমি চাই সরকার এটার মধ্যে সহযোগিতা করুক, যাতে বাংলাদেশ যাতে মালটা যায়, আমাদের চাষি বিধাননগর বা নর্থ বেঙ্গল থেকে মালগুলো যাক, তাহলে চাষিরা অনেক রকম সুযোগ সুবিধা পাবে।
Bangladesh's exports to India in 2010-2011 were $512.5 million and India's exports to Bangladesh in the same period were $4,586.8 million. India is the biggest export destination and trading partner of Bangladesh outside the Western world. Tariff concessions granted by India to Bangladesh under SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Area, includes a zero-duty market access for all.
India sees closer economic cooperation with Bangladesh as part of its Look East policy and also as a means of reducing the economic and political isolation of the 7 eastern and northeastern states from the rest of India. More on that in the coming episodes. Thank you for watching Bangladesh Today.